Hello, everybody. We are the Geeks and the Generates. I am Enzo. This is my forever co-host, Jump. Today, we wrap up our live-action adaptation week with another not the best adaptation of any cartoon, with Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. We are going back to 2009. Forgot the year for a bit, but yeah, this came out the same year as a lot of impressive CGI movies. And to be fair, the CGI is impressive here. The rest of it, though, we'll talk about later. But yeah, were you excited for this one when it was coming out in
Yeah, it
2009?
was
Yeah,
because again we're coming off of like 2007's Transformers or 2008,
7. You're correct.
and that shit was like really cool to see. Yeah, there was we for our generation we weren't really exposed to that much Michael Bay isms. Like for sure around that age we didn't watch Bad Boys or Con Air. Um, we didn't get to see those yet. We just, you know, the Transformers is our gateway drug to Michael Bay. And as we just go on, I was like, cool, that's great. Just don't focus on the dialogue and the story. Just keep your eyes on the giant robots that's fighting. And I was like, okay. And as I grew up, and my friends, they were addicted to Transformers. They would like nonstop buy the toys and watch the movies. And I think they watched Revenge of the Fallen 5 times in one day. And the song "New Divide" by Linkin Park has been on a constant repeat for like the good part of my 2009 and 10. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so excited for this movie. It looked great, and I would say the spectacle was like expectations were met.
Yeah, it's definitely there. I was late to this train, but I remember everybody talking about it in 2009 in our school. Like, they were going crazy for it. And, like, for a time, this was my favorite action sci-fi movie of all time. Because I didn't know any better, you know? And, of course,
Yeah,
you grow up and you watch things like Terminator and 2 and then Aliens and Aliens. And then you're like, oh, my taste has changed. Let's go back to Transformers 2. You're like, oh man, it's pretty bad.
yeah, yeah. Like after watching it, I was like, oh, I'm such a big fan of Transformers. Like once the third one like started coming around, and had like a little bit of movies under my belt, I was like, and I like rewatched the first two movies. I'm like, oh my god.
Right. Right. Well, there's a lot of new additions, notably Tom Kenny has 2 characters. Well, 3 characters. One being, what is it? Mudskip, Midflap? The
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
the insultingly
wait, what?
stereotypical robots that have.
Hold on, hold on. Yeah, you fucked me up there. I was like, it was no,
I,
because it's supposed to be Mudflap and is it Mudflap and Skids or something like
I
that?
don't fucking care.
Yeah, I forgot, and then he was like this little horny RC, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay,
That's a
uh,
scene that stuck in my mind forever after I watched this late in 2009. The say my name, say my name. Like, what the fuck am I watching?
all
uh,
right. I'll keep talking. I'm just gonna look up Mudflap and Skids.
but yeah, this sees the return of Shia LaBeouf as Sam and Megan Fox as Michaela. And, like, you right away you get introduced to the inconsistencies of this universe because, like, Sam goes crazy because he touched a bit of the spark of the cube, and he goes crazy. He starts talking crazy. He starts malfunctioning in class. He starts flipping through a book, and you're like, weren't you holding the whole thing in the first one though?
Yeah, right. Like I don't get it. And like Dwight from The Office is like this creepy teacher. There were so many weird jokes here that I could not get into.
Yeah, half of the time I'm like,
Uh,
why am I watching Sam's parents get high? Why am I watching his weird conspiracy roommates who are also
yeah,
creeps?
I didn't get it. I really didn't get it. And he's going out like kitten calendars. I was like, what the fuck do you mean? And like he's piecing things together, but he's talking so fast. I think that's the thing that Michael Bay likes to do,
Yeah,
that he thinks is funny, is if the character's talking really fast and you're like, oh, going crazy.
yeah,
And I guess that's comedy for
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay, and him like Sam going like having like seizures
Just
and writing like like pieces of cake on like, a table.
Yeah. And then we're like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
But-
And then there's this girl that like has the hots for Sam.
Yeah.
And she gets absolutely like I don't want to say fuck because again misconception.
She gets destroyed by Michaela.
Again.
No.
Okay, like Bumblebee, like
She gets run over.
God damn it!
She gets run over pretty badly by Michaela.
Yeah, she. It just still doesn't fucking work. But like Bumblebee, like hits her head on like the dash.
Yeah.
Like pees on her.
Oh God!
See, this is what I think. Now we're having a realization what Michael Bay was trying to say in those scenes.
Right? Oh man, it doesn't help that.
This girl got fucked up and pissed on.
Oh man, it doesn't help that. The moment you get reintroduced to Michaela, you're like, yeah, this is a Michael Bay movie. Why not? That's dreamy. But the Transformers are working with the military, and they have this weird contract or like agreement of like, we can work together to kill the remaining Decepticons. And then there's this weird guy from the army who I hate it when people do this in movies where he's like, I can't talk right now, but here's a piece of paper. Flap. Like, can you explain why you're here?
Yeah.
What's your point?
Yeah, they all just gotta rush the urgency of everything.
Yeah. And he's like, you Transformers can't be here anymore. We don't like you. Even though you saved the Earth, we can handle things on your own. And then he makes the point of like, if you're so great, why don't you give your weapons to us? And Optimus is like, fuck no. We know what you can do.
There's been a track record. We don't want that.
Yeah. I remember as a kid being like, wow, I like how the fact that they're showing off the might of the US military. And then now I'm like, yeah, they're just flexing their might here. With, like what they can do.
Like there's the biggest like propaganda advertisement for like America.
Fuck yeah. And they also, I forgot, was it Soundwave or Starscream who resurrects Megatron and he comes back to Cybertron to meet Candyman, the Fallen, Tony Todd as the Fallen. Yeah, this movie's pretty forgettable. Well, if you're.
Oh no, I remember Starscream coming in and hey, the Fallen Megatron didn't do his job properly. Yeah, and I was like, all right, I'm coming. And then, like the conjoined parts of of Devastator like comes off a cruise ship and like falls into the Marianas Trench and resurrects Megatron, and Megatron becomes this weird jet tank thing with a cloak. Because yes, Transformers might get skin cancer.
And then he sees Starscream, he's like, you piece of shit. And then he tells to the Fallen, the Fallen's like, we will avenge us. We will invade Earth. You're like, cool. You notice Michael Bay repeats the shots in this movie again and again? Like the scene of Soundwave being like, Decepticons, we will invade Earth. And he's just moving to the right again and again. And you're like,
oh right, he was like the satellite thing.
Yeah,
I forgot Soundwave. By the way, that was a cool shot. Like when Soundwave like drops that pod of like this little like cougar cheetah thing into like the army base.
Yeah.
And then they have like this like really small Decepticon that like if it flattens itself, you can barely see it at the right angle. I was like, that shit was so cool.
Yeah. Also love the fact when the Autobots come to rescue Sam, or when they always appear in this movie, is the opening notes to New Divide. Doesn't really do anything for the movie, but I just like that song a lot.
Yeah, it's just
yeah, and then they help rescue Sam, but like they get separated, and then in the midst of the battle with the Decepticons, Optimus gets killed. And you're like, well, shit.
My God, he put up a fight,
right?
Like I was like, Jesus Christ, Optimus! Like at some point you would think Megatron would have like the upper hand, and like Optimus would like uppercut him and like rip apart this one Decepticon's jaw. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, he splits the guy's jaw and he's like, fucking scrap metal. And he's like, Sam, where are you? And gets impaled by Megatron. You're like, oh shit, poor guy.
Yeah. I love it when like you're staring at a barrel of like Optimus's like cannon. I'm like, no innuendos here.
Not anymore,
But yeah.
please.
No more.
No more, please.
Yeah, and by the way, we find out that like that sexy lady's actually a Decepticon with boobs, so I'm like, and then, like its whole thing is the tongue.
Yeah. Alright. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, just it's very weird because like majority of us were like maybe early teens. Early tweens, hitting our teens, and we see that scene where she's like on him, and then like for sure every kid's like, I think I'm horny.
Right? Watching the scene now, you're just like, well, this is unnecessary. Horny? Yeah. Again, you're like, yeah, this is definitely a Michael Bay movie. And then they try to...
Yeah, like, and now rewatching, I'm like, that's kind of great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they meet up with, like, Sector 7 guy to help resurrect Optimus, and then that's where we get the awful shot of the actor and his tighty whities. You're like, why, God?
No, he wasn't wearing just tighty whities. He was wearing a jock strap. And I was like,
why? Oh, God.
Why does he need to wear a jock strap? He's not doing anything active.
Right? You're like, John Totoro, we've seen him in better stuff like The Batman. And you're like, in my mind, watching this now, I'm like, this man has put up with a lot of shit in his career. And I'm glad he's doing more serious roles now. And then that's when we also get introduced to, speaking of horny, that's when we get introduced to Tom Kenny again as the horny robot. And he's like, alright, I'm on the wrong side. Michaela, I will be your slave. And you're like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, I don't get it either. And by the way, I love Jetfire.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that Decepticon where he's this old stealth fighter plane jet thing. And he has a beard. I didn't know like Transformers have an expiration date because Optimus has been like in a fight for like thousands of years.
Right? And he's just
I didn't know Jetfire would like get to a point where he's...
Yeah, Jetfire's like on like a cane, and you're like, do Transformers need walking help?
Like all I know is that because like we have the Fallen, right? Like he's supposed to be he's been there since like day one of like Earth, and then now we got Jetfires, which I don't understand. Great design, by the way. I love everything about it. It's just I don't understand why he's old.
Right? You're like, again, it's just the inconsistency of like, why is Jetfire in need of walking assistance, but Optimus has better knees and he's older? No, the Fallen's older and he barely needs walking assistance at all.
Is it because he's a Prime? I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Like, I just love the character for Jetfire, and I guess the reason why they kind of made him like that is to make Optimus sell toys.
Yeah, but yeah, they find out that the Transformers have been here for a long time, and the Primes wanted to not take over the sun of any living planet, but the Fallen.
Oh yeah, the matrix of leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need to hide this from the Fallen, and they die to hide it. And you're like, okay. And it's in Jordan, and like that's where you get the scene of like Sam having an injured arm because in real life Shia LaBeouf had an injury, so that's why his arm's in a cast for the last half of this movie. You're like, okay.
Oh yeah, they had like this whole teleportation thing.
Yeah, and it sounds like I'm a hand, and you're like, how come no one else is injured? Not Michaela, not John Totoro.
Did they explain how they teleported?
No, they just teleported. I also don't know why his annoying college roommate is here for most of the ride. You're like, why are you here?
Yeah, again, he's supposed to be like the comic relief, but a lot of the times he's just annoying. Yeah,
Sam is like, if you want to leave, you leave right now. If I was him, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going by, guys. I won't say anything.
Yeah.
Same with Sam's parents. You're like, why are you in every last battle of this series? I don't understand.
Oh yeah, they were. Like they had the end. Like Sam was supposed to be dead.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, why are you here? Jesus. But yeah, they find the matrix of leadership, and it's not physical. It's within your heart. You're like, Okay, sure. Why
Oh, it
not?
is physical points.
It does, but like,
Oh
if
yeah,
you die and then they're like, you're worthy, and it sounds like, yeah. I'm not annotating how this movie goes down beat for beat because it's pretty nonsensical. It doesn't make sense. There's so many like, why does this work this way?
yeah. Like that scene where like Devastator like climbing up Mountain of Egypt. My God,
What?
pyramids of Egypt. See, like a little bit of brain cells were dying when I was watching this movie. Um, he's like, I'm underneath the target scrotum. I was like, why?
I
Michael Bay.
I also
you
don't
think you're funny.
understand why the Decepticons are being pinned down by the U.S. military with their armalites and tanks. You're like, aren't you Decepticons? Don't you have like nukes packed into you? Can't you just transform into a jet and kill them? Why are you being
Right.
held down by the by a military of Earth?
I don't understand either. But anyway, America.
Yeah, Megatron is like taking cover as if as if the rounds can penetrate him. Like, what are you doing?
All right, man. Whatever you say.
And then Sam gets killed, and Optimus, and then he gets the Matrix of leadership, and then puts it in Optimus, and Optimus.
But Optimus is still like heavily injured.
Yeah, he's like, I
then-
forgot I got stabbed. Shit.
Yeah, and then Ratchet like comes in and like Jetfire is like heavily like damaged as well. He's like, "Oh, take my parts.
Yeah.
So you could sell more toys, Hasbro," and they do. And then Optimus Prime became this like really cool. By the way, I always wanted it.
Yeah, same here.
Like Optimus Prime like had like the jets and like had the gun and the sword. And I was like,
Yeah, me too. I saw this. I saw that once in Toys R Us, and I'm like, I want it, but the number for it is too high. Shit.
yeah. I feel like now we could afford it, but I don't like Transformers all like that. Transformers all that
Yeah,
much.
I prefer the G1 variation, but
Same here. Like I would rather have like a G1 than a Michael Bay.
Michael Bay,
version.
yeah. But yeah, he gets amped up and he stops the fallen, and it's a pretty gnarly kill. He like rips the guy's face off. You're like, Jesus Christ, Optimus.
Yeah. Like the fight scenes here were great. Like,
Yeah.
that's all I gotta say. I had fun when I was a kid.
Yeah, spectacle. Even now, I'm like, there's no doubt that Michael Bay can do spectacle really well. When it comes to writing characters, human characters, and stereotyping them, he is the worst. You're like, oh, Jesus,
Yeah.
why are Skids and what is it, Mudflap?
Mudflap and Skids here.
And why is it voiced by Tom Kenny of all people? Like, you couldn't even get someone of the proper ethnicity to voice them. Shit. Well, probably not because they're
Kevin Hart, at least, he's funny.
probably not because they'd be like, that's insulting to us. And he's like, oh, that is the point.
Alright.
To be fair, the acting, one of the actors who improved for me at least is Megan Fox, because now she's a bit more believable. She really acts well, which is funny because this is the worst of the Michael Bay movies. Is it worse than Age of the Fall? What do you call that? Age of Extinction? I'm trying to pitch.
I didn't watch it.
Well, we're gonna watch it this year because Transformers is coming out.
Okay.
But no, yeah, her acting has improved. So I'm like, wow, if only the movie was as good as your acting, you know. Cheryl Buff is fine. What do you call the army dude? Josh Duhamel is also fine. Tyrese Gibson. I do love the scene when he's telling the politician of like, you need to jump. He's like, pull the strap really hard, and he pulls the strap. He's like, not here, you jackass. He's like, I'm sorry.
Here you go. Then they're like, oh, well, not our problem.
Yeah. And again, this whole last act is like a flex of the US military's might with like the railgun, which bugs me even more because you're like, and they can hold down Decepticons with your guns and tanks and not need a railgun. Interesting, Michael Bay. Interesting. But that's my last rant on that. But yeah, this movie ends with New Divide, and you're like, oh boy, I can't wait. Actually, I can't wait to see the next one because I didn't like it.
Yeah. It was like 2013 when we got the next one.
No, 2011. 2014.
2011. Yeah.
2014 is the one you didn't get to watch until this year because, again, it's having its big anniversary of 10 years of garbage like this movie. Anything to add for Revenge of the Fallen? Because I'm clearly not interested in this movie and I'm losing energy.
I'm also losing energy. So let's wrap it up.
Yeah. What would you rate Revenge of the Fallen?
I would rate Revenge of the Fallen. Well, I would say 4. Like it's not garbage. Like it's pretty, it's fun, especially when you're a kid. But the writing's horrible.
Yeah.
The jokes don't land. It's funny if you're like you're a tad bit, out there. But other than that, just jokes are kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. I just enjoyed it because the giant robots were fighting. I didn't enjoy it for the story or anything like that.
I'll give this a 3 only because the effects are undeniably really good and they're better than most effects today. Undeniably. The action's pretty good, but what can you expect from a Michael Bay movie? But other than that, like the stereotyping is just insulting. The jokes are bad. A lot of this movie's either lame or pretty gross. Like the dog's constantly humping and Michael Bay's obsession with filming that. Like, can you stop focusing on the fucking pets? Literally.
Yeah, can you just leave it alone, please?
Yeah. They're just being themselves. And, the scenes of Megan Fox and the female Transformer, when you're like, yeah, that's a bit too much. That's a lot. It's a lot. And, like, 3, the last one I would give to the soundtrack because Linkin Park, Green Day, and The Fray are pretty good in this movie. And I think this is the movie that introduced me to The Fray. So I'm like, oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Weird.
You're right? Yeah, I just like the song when Michaela and Sam are together. And I'm like, alright, I'll listen to them forever. And that's the only lasting effect for this movie for me. But yeah, this has been our video for Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. What do you guys think? What's your favorite entry to the Michael Bay universe? Whether it's this one, the first one, Age of Extinction, there's something in between, right? The one in Chicago where Chicago gets blown to smithereens by Leonard Nimoy. That one?
Yeah, that's 3. Yeah,
that's 3. Or The Last Night. Whatever it is, comment down below. But if you want to see more of us, please like our videos, subscribe to the channel, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok to see our best and funniest moments and Spotify tours on the go. Individually, I am Ens Wolf on Letterboxd and Zoe does voices on TikTok. Where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me at JomJam on Instagram. It is my account.
And until the next video, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.